Hi friends, I'm Shamikar. Today I am going to tell you a story at our China. A long years ago, there was a quite beautiful and teeny city called Andapuram. There lived a super wealthy person in that city. He lived in a really beautiful and huge house with his wife, mother, and his little daughter. A few months later, that wealthy person and his wife were dead as they had to meet with an accident. After their death, that little daughter had to live with her grandmother. A few years later, they had become really poor. Though they had a quite beautiful and huge house, they didn't have a lot of money. They had bought some food to eat by selling flowers. There was quite beautiful and huge another city called Seriva. There was a quite beautiful, long and wide river between these cities called Nilavahini. If people of Andapuram want to get to Seriva city, they will have to go there across Nilavahini river by a boat. As well as if people of Seriva city want to get to Andapuram, they will have to go there across Nilavahini river by a boat. There lived two vendors in Seriva city. Both of them had sold bangles, and they had gone to city and village to village to sell their bangles. One day, both of them decided to get to Andapuram to sell their bangles. Next day early, one of them was quite kind, honest and generous man. He was called Serivaanija. However, as other vendor was called Kachakuta. He wasn't honest, generous and kind man. He was a quite dishonest man. Next day early in the morning, both of them came to near Neelavahini river. Then Serivanj asked from Kachakuta, "My dear friend, uh, do you want to get to say Andapuram first or second?" Then Kachakuta thought, most of my bangles will be bought by people of Andapuram if I go to Andapuram first. After a few minutes, Kachakuda said, "Friend, I want to get there first. You must get there second." After a few minutes, Kachakuta had gone to Andapuram across Nilavani river by a boat, and he started to cry, "Bangles, bangles," and he had gone ahead. Uh, Late a few hours, most of Kachakuda's bangles had been bought by people of Andapuram, as well as a lot of money had been earned. Kachakuda was really happy about it. Uh, and again he started to go eat. While he was walking along the road, he cried, "Bangles, bangles." That sound was heard by that little girl who lived with a quite old grandmother. Then the little girl said to her grandmother, "Grandmother, I want some bangles." Then grandmother said, "My dear daughter, those bangles are really valuable. On the other hand, we don't have a lot of money. You know about it." Then that little daughter was really sad about it, and she started to cry. After a few minutes, that little daughter went into home to look for something to sell and buy some bangles. After a few minutes, a really big and old plate was found by that little girl. Then that little girl told her grandmother about it. Then grandmother thought, okay, okay, daughter, uh, okay, daughter. If you think if that you think um, you think that bangle seller won't give you some bangles for this old plate, then little daughter said, on the anyway, this plate will be given to that bangle seller, and I will buy some bangles. Then Kachakuta was walking near that house. Then that little girl went near him, and she said, Uncle, I want some bangles. I want some bangles. Could you please give me some bangles? Then Kachakuta said, Yes, I can give you some bangles, but do you have money? Then that little daughter said, No, uncle, I don't have money, but I have a really beautiful and big plate. If you me some bangles, that plate will be given you. Then Kachakuta said, Okay. First of all, you should show me it. Then that plate was showed to Kachakuta by that little girl. Actually, that plate was a really valuable and golden plate. That old grandmother and his little daughter, her little daughter, didn't know about it. However, at that time, Kachakuta had no one about it. However, he didn't. However, he didn't tell to that grandmother and his little daughter about it, as he was a really dishonest man. He was a really dishonest man. But he said, I can't give you some bangles for this useless and useless for this useless plate. For this useless plate. Then that little girl was really sad about it, and she started to cry. Then Kachakuta went away. While he was walking along the road, he thought, I will get this house again, and that plate will be taken by me. After a few hours, Serivaanija had got to Andapuram across Nilavani river by a boat. He also started to sell his bangles. He cried, bangles, bangles. Late a few hours. Some bangles had bought by some bangles of Serivaanija had bought by people of Andapuram, and he was unable to earn a lot of money, but he was happy. And again he started to go eat. While he was walking along the road, he started to cry, bangles, bangles. That sound also was heard by that little daughter who lived with an old grandmother. After that, that little daughter told to her grandmother about it, and then after a few minutes, Serivaanija had got to that house. Then that little daughter said to Serivaanija, Uncle, could you give me some bangles? Then Serivaanija said, Of course, I can give you some bangles. Then that little daughter said, If you give me some bangles, I will give you a really beautiful and big plate. Then that plate was showed to Serivaanija by that little girl. Then Serivaanija had known it was a golden plate. At that time, Serivaanija had told to that little girl and her grandmother about it. Then that grandmother and that little daughter was really happy about it. However, they were really sad about Kachakuta. as he was a really dishonest man. He was a really dishonest person. After that, Serivaanija said, I will give you my all money and my all bangles for this plate, and I will go to my city, and this plate would be sold, and I will come back to your house. I will come back to your house, and um, and you will be paid your and you will be paid your rest money. Then that little daughter and her grandmother was quite happy. Then Serivaanija went towards Nilavani river. After a few minutes, Kachakuta had go to that house again. He said, Auntie, 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 give that plate me, and I will give you some bangles. Then the grandmother said, No, we don't want your bangles. You are a really dishonest person. You are a dear dishonest person. A really kind, honest, and generous bangle seller had go to our house, and he said that plate is a golden plate. It was so valuable, but you said it is not valuable. Then Kachakuta was really sad about it, and he was really angry, and he asked angrily, "Who is that? Who is that bangle seller? Where is he? Where is he?" Then that little daughter said, "He was Serivaanija. He had gone towards Nilavani river. Now I suppose now he is going across Nilavani river by a boat towards his city." Then Kachakuta was really angry with Serivaanija, and he started to run towards Nilavani river without his money and his bangles. After a few minutes, Kachakuta had come to near Nilavani river. Then he saw Serivaanija was going towards Seriva city by across Nilavani river by a boat. Then Serivaanija said, "This is that it's my golden plate. You must give me it. You must give me it. You must give me it." At that time, Kachakuta was quite sad, and after a few minutes, Kachakuta was dead, as he felt an unbearable pain.